The one with the bullies is another really fabulous Friends episode. This is the 21st episode of the second season, directed by Michael Lembeck. And as always, I will go through, usually chronologically, various plot points that I think are interesting, any quotes or character traits that I think were fascinating. So there will definitely be spoilers for this episode. I won't spoil anything that happens in future episodes, however. And the main narrative is that Chandler and Ross are frequently faced with two bullies in Central Perk. And it's quite interesting that it's Chandler and Ross because it's always Chandler and Joey, but it works very well and it's quite nice to have that shift in the friendship group dynamic. And I kind of I was going to say I wasn't sure where they were going with this narrative. I've obviously seen this episode many times, so it's hard to know exactly what I felt when I first saw this, but I think that it's unpredictable where exactly this part of the narrative will end up. And I think that that's really exciting and really entertaining. And ultimately, what happens with this part of the story was just fabulous. And I think it really took the right direction. And it's very entertaining, of course, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. We also have a narrative with Phoebe. It's been a good few episodes since Phoebe did anything to try and locate her father again. And she's trying again, and this time it's Joey and Rachel in the car with her, which was a good decision because Rachel doesn't really have anything to do in this episode. Again, it's been a while. Most of the episodes recently have focused quite heavily on Rachel, so giving her a bit of a backseat, it felt like it was the right time, but allowing her to be there for Phoebe was a really good decision. And the little dog, absolutely adorable. And then ultimately, what happens with Phoebe finding her brother? We have the introduction of Frank Jr., played by Giovanni Ribisi, and it's a pretty interesting introduction to Frank as a character. And it's nice that Phoebe's found a relative. It's quite interesting that she hasn't found her father in this episode. It seems to take quite a long time for her to get anywhere with her relatives, but to find her brother, I think was a pretty interesting thing. And I can't really say too much more about Frank Jr. or what happens with the character, but it's definitely interesting. But not the first time Giovanni Ribisi has been in Friends. He played an extra at one point, quite a few episodes back. Then we have Monica's story. Now, Monica, the actual stock aspect, I don't find that interesting. I didn't find it to be that much of an interesting story, but honestly, it's definitely filler, just something to pad out the other scenes. But ultimately, the journey we take to get to the destination with Monica's final scene in this is one of my favourite endings to any Friends episode ever. It's one of those scenes that I think would have been just absolutely delightful to witness being filmed. So, obviously, I'm going to say what happens. I've given a spoiler warning. I can talk about it. In the final scene of this episode, we're in the diner. Monica is wearing her rather entertaining outfit, performing YMCA on a table or on the counter, and it's just fabulously fun and so entertaining. And obviously not for Monica, but I really thoroughly enjoyed it. This is a fabulous episode, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's the perfect mix of comedy with some seriousness surrounding Phoebe and her father and her quest to find her father. But it's a brilliant episode. Absolutely no complaints about it whatsoever. We definitely have a shift in focus of characters and character dynamics, and that's something that we do see a lot more of going forward, where characters spend time with different characters. And mostly up until this point, it's been Ross and Rachel, or not Ross and Rachel, as the case is often, Chandler and Joey, and then Monica and Phoebe in their own little narratives. But mixing things up a little bit, I rather enjoyed it. Definitely, as I feel I say all of the time with Friends episodes. There are some exceptions, I promise. There are some episodes I don't care for, but generally, it's another really fabulous Friends episode.